5 open source repositories, over 500,000 GitHub stars between them. Put together, they are the essential toolkit for building an AI agent in 2026. Not 10, not 20, 5. The 5 doing the actual work. Because an agent needs exactly 4 things: a way to read the web, a way to act on it, a memory, and a brain to plan. These 5 fill every one of those slots, and one of them does 2 jobs at once. Here's the map we are going to build piece by piece. First surprise, the most starred repo on this list is not an agent framework at all. It is a web scraper. And number 4 is the open source answer to a coding tool that costs $500 a month and went viral because a startup thought they could charge that forever. We count all 5 in order, and every single one is free and open. By the end, you will know exactly which to reach for and which slot it fills. Number 5, browser use. It hands an AI agent a real web browser and lets it click, type, and scroll like a person. You give it a goal in plain English. Book this flight. Pull these prices. Fill out this form. And it drives the page itself, one step at a time, reading whatever is on the screen. The loop is what makes it work. It reads the page structure, decides the next action, clicks or types, then looks again at the new state. No brittle recorded script. It adapts when a site changes under it. That opens up the whole world of sites that have no API. Filling long forms, running a checkout end-to-end, pulling a number off a dashboard behind a login. If a person can do it in a browser, this can automate it. And it holds up under testing. On Web Voyager, a benchmark of 586 real tasks across live websites, the team reported finishing about 89% of them. It is model agnostic, so you plug in whatever brain you like, and there is a hosted cloud version if you would rather not run browsers yourself. But the core is MIT licensed and free. It came out of almost nowhere. The project only opened up in late 2024, and it grew fast enough that a startup formed around it, and a whole cottage industry of browser agents followed in its wake. One real limit before we move on. A browser agent is slower and pricier than a clean API call, and a strange pop-up can still trip it up. Reach for it when no API exists. Not for everything. 106,000 stars on a repo, barely a year and a half old. One of the fastest climbs on all of GitHub. That is the hands of your agent. Slot 1 filled. Number 4, Firecrawl. If browser uses the hands, Firecrawl is the eyes. It turns a messy website into clean, structured data. Point it at any URL and it hands back tidy markdown or JSON. No ads, no cookie banners, no navigation clutter. Just the content in the shape a language model can actually read. 1 API, 4 verbs. Scrape a single page, crawl a whole site, search the web and get the results as data, or extract the exact fields you describe in plain English. And it renders JavaScript, so single-page apps come back whole. It also handles the annoying parts for you. Rotating proxies, anti-bot walls, even clicking and scrolling before it grabs the page. You send a link, you get back clean text. That is the whole pitch. It began as a tool inside a company called Mendable, got open sourced, and took off so hard the company reorganized around it. Now the surprise I promised. Firecrawl sits at over 155,000 stars, the most on this entire list. The single most popular repo here is not an agent framework. It is a web scraper. There is a reason for that. Almost every retrieval pipeline starts by getting the web in, and Firecrawl makes that first ugly step disappear. Feed it in as clean markdown and everything downstream gets easier. Open source with a hosted option on top, so you can call the cloud or run it yourself. Slot 2, reading the world. Done. Number 3, Mem0, memory for AI agents. Start with the problem it fixes. By default, an agent forgets everything the moment a chat ends. Every session starts from a blank slate. It cannot learn your name, your preferences, or what you told it 5 minutes ago. The naive fix is to paste the entire chat history back in every turn. Do that and you blow through the context window and the token bill within a day. Mem0 is the smarter middle path. It works in 2 phases. It pulls the durable facts out of a conversation and stores them. Then next time, it pulls back only the relevant ones, not the entire transcript crammed into the prompt. Those memories live in a vector store with an optional graph mode that tracks how facts connect to each other. Self-host the whole thing or use their cloud. Either way, memory follows the user, not the chat window. And it is backed by a peer-reviewed paper, which is rare on this list. Against a model's built-in memory on a long conversation benchmark, Mem0 scored 26% more accurate. used 90% fewer tokens, and cut tail latency by 91%. 90% fewer tokens is the line to remember. That is real money, saved on every single call, and a faster reply on top of it. 61,000 stars. Slot 3, the memory is in. Number 2, OpenHands. This is the slot nobody expected, and it is the fastest growing repo on this list right now. OpenHands started as a community response to Devin, the AI software engineer from Cognition AI that launched in early 2024 at $500 a month and made everyone realize that an agent could finally write real code, run tests, fix bugs, and open pull requests on its own. The open source community's answer was immediate. We can build that, and it should be free. What OpenHands does is give an AI agent a complete sandbox developer environment, a real terminal, a code editor, a browser for reading documentation, a file system. You hand it a GitHub issue or a task description in plain English. Write a function that does X. Fix the failing test. Add this feature to the repo, and it does what a human developer would do. It reads the relevant files, plans an approach, writes the code, runs the tests, sees what broke, and iterates until the task is done. That loop is not a demo trick. It is benchmarked. OpenHands posts its results publicly on SWE-bench, the standard test suite for AI coding agents. That kind of transparency does not exist for most $500 a month alternatives. It supports over 100 model backends, so you can run it against Claude, GPT, Gemini, or a local model. Self-host the whole thing on your own server for free. MIT license throughout. The story of this repo in one line. A $500 closed source product launched. The open source community said no and built a better one. 82,000 stars and climbing. Slot 4, the coding agent that closes real tickets. Number 1, Dify, the brain. And on this list, it is also the biggest. Dify is the full production platform for building, deploying, and operating AI applications and agents, all on a visual canvas. You drag in a model node here, a retriever there, a tool call over there. Connect them with lines, and the data flows through while you watch. It started where Langflow did, as a visual way to wire agents together, and kept going until it became the platform you actually ship with. Not just a prototype tool, a platform for production. Here's what separates it. When a workflow breaks in production on most visual builders, you are guessing. Dify ships with per-step logging, timing traces, and OpenTelemetry export, so you can see exactly which step fired, with what input, and where it slowed down. It also has a built-in worker queue so long-running flows do not time out on your users. Those are not features you bolt on later. They are baked in from the start, and it handles the full knowledge stack natively. Drop your documents in, and it builds retrieval over them. No separate RAG setup, no glue code. Multi-agent orchestration, prompt management, A/B testing, user analytics, and app publishing all on the same screen. The same canvas you prototyped in is the canvas you deploy from. The numbers back it. Dify crossed 100,000 stars in June 2025 and is past 145,000 by mid-2026. It runs on more than 1.4 million machines across 175 countries. Enterprise customers include Maersk, Novartis, Deloitte, and Panasonic. In early 2026, the company raised $30 million at a $180 million valuation, with Apache 2.0 staying on the core the whole time. 145,000 stars and the most complete platform on this list. The brain, the planner, and the front door all in one. Slot 5 filled, and then some. And that is all 5. Before we assemble them, look one more time at what just landed. The most popular repo here is a web scraper. The fastest growing is an answer to a $500 paywall. And the biggest platform nobody is arguing about on Twitter is quietly running on 1.4 million machines. Here is where it gets fun. No single one of these 5 is the whole answer. But snap them together, and you get something that starts to feel like an actual employee. Take a real useful job. Find information on the web, remember what matters, write code that acts on it, and run the whole thing without anyone watching. Watch which repo does each part. Firecrawl reads the pages and hands back clean data. Browser use clicks through anything that needs a real session. Mem0 remembers what you care about between runs. OpenHands writes and runs the actual code when the task needs a developer. And Dify is the canvas that ties all of it together into a workflow you can actually ship. 5 repos, 1 working system. And notice what you did not do. Write memory from scratch. Build a retrieval pipeline from zero. Stand up a sandbox coding environment by hand. You wired 5 well-worn parts together, each doing the one thing it is best at. Every slot is covered. Eyes on the web, hands on the browser, a memory that persists, a coding agent that closes tickets, and a production brain that runs the whole relay. Keep this cheat sheet. Reading the web, Firecrawl, acting on the web, browser use, memory, mem0, coding agent. OpenHands, orchestration and deployment, Dify. That is the real point of this list. You do not build an AI agent from scratch anymore. You assemble it from parts. And these are the 5 parts with the biggest communities and the most battle testing behind them. Because everyone is open source, there are no seat licenses, no vendor lock-in, and no black box. You can read exactly how your agent thinks and change any piece you do not like. The price of this entire stack? Nothing to download, read, or run. You pay only for the model calls you make. But you do not need all 5 to start. Pick 2. Firecrawl to pull data in, and Dify to run the loop. Get that working first, then grow the stack outward from there, and keep in mind how fast this moves. Several of these repos did not exist 3 years ago, and more than a few doubled their stars in the last 12 months. The map you just learned will keep shifting under you. It bends to whoever you are. A solo dev who wants an agent by the weekend. A startup that cannot rebuild memory and retrieval from scratch. A company that needs every byte on its own servers. One fair warning to take with you. Stars measure attention, not fit. Judge each repo by what it solves today, not by the size of its badge. All 5 repos, every link and their star counts, are down in the description. If this saved you a week of digging, subscribe and go star the ones you are actually going to use.